what has been one of your favorite moments in life?
Oh,
In
favorite
life.
moments in life.
Yeah,
That's a big question.
I know. Hi.
Hi everybody. I'm Eden,
And I'm Jay.
and welcome to Eden XJ Unfiltered, the podcast where we have created a safe and sexy space to have unfiltered conversations.
You might blah. Oh man, we might be the same sex, but we have different opinions.
So we've been gone a week, so excuse us for being
Excuse
a little
me for being
rusty,
a little scared, a little
a
shy.
little shy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's okay. We've been gone a week, but we're happy to be back. But before we jump into what did you miss in a whole week of our lives, surprisingly enough, it is a lot.
A lot.
But we want to just quickly say if you haven't followed us yet on social media, on everything at EdenXJ, go head over there. There's a lot of fun things happening on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
And don't forget to leave us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, all of the above.
all the podcast stuff. And we're happy to have you here. And we're happy that you're back. We're happy we're back. Are you
Let's jump.
excited to jump
Yeah, I'm
in?
super excited to jump in.
What did they miss,
A
babe?
whole lot. So,
But I mean, it's kind of hard to really just say like what we've all missed just within our lives. But I feel like all my brain and all I've been seeing is freaking Selena and
Haley Bieber,
Haley Bieber and Justin Bieber. I
I know too much. I
it's
know more than I want to know.
crazy. It's crazy the amount of information we have in our brains now,
Hmm.
and you can't avoid it. We're going down chicken TikTok and they're there. We're down cooking TikTok and they're there. We're down baby TikTok and they're there. They're everywhere. We can't escape them. I mean, I'm the biggest like I love Selena. I'm a big Selena fan. Yes, like that is where my loyalty lies.
Selena
Um
Stan.
Selena Stan over here, but it's just I can't help but feel for her because I feel like she's just in this era and she's been in the space of healthiness and taking care of her mind and her body.
Hmm.
And there's this relationship that
Just
keeps
lingers.
coming back
Yeah.
and she's moved on years later.
Yeah, it's true.
What do
But
you
I
think?
think I think that has a lot to do with the fact that her life was public, you know?
Mm.
So I think people just automatically put two and two together, regardless of her moving on. And she has dated a ton of other celebrities after Justin, but for whatever reason, everybody's just fixated on that one relationship.
It's just going beyond, Selena and Haley and Justin, just having a public relationship in general
Hmm.
and it not working out, the repercussions of the constant past being brought up again and again and again and
Hmm.
not being able to move on in probably what would be quote unquote a normal way
Hmm.
because you're in the public eye. I mean, I would say if anything were to happen to us, knock on wood, not that I would, so get that thought out of your mind. Um, there would be no way in hell I would be ever able to
Escape.
escape
Yeah, I agree.
our relationship and our love and like our happiness. Like if people would be there, like just with the receipts always, just
Yeah.
showing me how happy and in love I was. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, there would be no rock I could climb under. Like I'd have to
Yeah.
move to the Mars where there I hopefully there's no service and no social media just to escape all of our like loving content.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And I just feel bad for her.
I know, I do
But
too.
I think speaking of, public relationships, especially in like the lesbian world
Mhm.
or celesbian
So
as people like
lesbians.
to call it, couples are constantly
Mhm.
getting together, breaking up, but all of that is public.
Yeah.
So there are certain, celesbians that I've seen
Mhm.
who have dated someone and then within the next 3 posts they're broken up and then it just jumps to a new relationship. Like there's a lot of that going on as well.
What I don't appreciate is, and I'm just gonna, it's unfiltered. I'm gonna say it how it is.
Mm.
In the lesbian relationship world on TikTok, it's really unfortunate that the content creators who are primarily white, who get the most amount of attention in these spaces, don't represent the healthiest of
True.
relationships. And it's really unfortunate that that is a role model or an example that younger gays or gay women in general have and like look at and look up to. And there's, you know, I don't feel like there's a thought like, hey, I have this incredibly big platform. I should be careful. If, I was dating and figuring it out, I would try to nurture that privately way before I made it public.
Right.
And it's the salaciousness of jumping from one lesbian couple to another, which I feel like is extremely unhealthy. And that makes me really grateful for what we have. And it reminds me every day of why we're doing what we're doing, like promoting healthy relationships and promoting healthy conversation and communication and
Mhm.
dynamic.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be that. And if nobody is going to tell it to you, and like, sorry, not sorry, we're not white and we might not make it to your For You page, but hopefully we'll make it to somebody who needs it. And odds are, hopefully it'll be just somebody who looks like us and, went through a similar situation that we did and, hopefully make them feel less alone. And that's not their only option
Right.
for examples of a
Of
relationship.
a lesbian relationship. Yeah. No, I agree.
I say this now when I'm grown and healthy, but girl, when I was messy, that's why I wasn't in a public relationship like this because it was not a good example. But when I was in a healthy one and we thought
Uh-huh.
about it, that was the time.
Cheers to being
Ow!
grown.
On time. I love this. The
I
growth.
know.
What you mean we've been gone a week? You remember.
I've been practicing.
You have? I
Yeah.
mean I love it. We're gonna keep this momentum going. Well, since we've been gone a week, it's crazy because we left fairly quickly
Yeah.
on a plane and we left to Oaxaca because
We're planning our wedding this year, and that's happening in July of
Mhm.
this year, while we're simultaneously going on tour with Preciosa Nights. I know that sounds insane. It's pretty crazy for us as well to kind of manage all of that.
I feel like we have a lot of new people here and we need to explain how are we married but also getting married.
I know. So the thing is, for
Take
those of
'em
you that,
back,
yeah,
back,
let's
back,
do
take
it.
'em back.
For those of you that don't know and are new to our podcast, we eloped.
Welcome.
Hi. We eloped 2 years ago. And it was just us and our friend who was our videographer and also our witness. That is it. We spent $100. We went to In-N-Out for dinner and we called it a day. But the reason why we did that is because we had been saving all this money to have the wedding that we wanted to have, and then the pandemic happened, right?
Yeah.
So we really thought about how we could set ourselves up, and we ended up buying a house, which
Yeah.
I love that we did that. No regrets. We set ourselves up. Oh, hey. You're
I
getting
was
good
a
with
little
them
late.
puns. Yeah, and we set ourselves up, financially and kind of had that baseline because it was really important for us to have a foundation for our future kids. We never had that. We didn't have any kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, anything really.
Well, there was no real example
Yeah.
that it was possible for us.
Yeah.
I think that was the hard part. We definitely made a choice. Are we gonna put this wedding on pause and really buy
Mhm.
a house? And then I think we just thought, it wasn't gonna be in the cards. Buying a house doesn't happen to people like us. I think I was still 28 at
Mhm.
the time when we
Yeah.
started this process, and I was just like, there's just no way. Like, it's impossible. It's a pipe dream. They're not going to give somebody like us a house. And I think it was the times that we bid and got outbid.
Yeah.
There were the times where
It was rough out there.
we got excited and then somebody would come in with all cash and
Mhm.
then really make us like tail between our legs and just sad. And I think what happens that people experience, but I'm not sure talk about, is when you get so close to escrow and you get excited and you start envisioning, I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna like have this space for this, and it doesn't happen and it becomes somebody else's dream. And
Yeah.
then that crushing experience, there's only one way to handle it maturely, and that's to get drunk and go to houses we definitely can't afford.
That was our favorite thing to do. We fell out of escrow twice, and each time we would make our realtor take us to the most
Multi-million-dollar
ridiculous
houses.
houses we could never afford to make us feel better.
Yeah, because the view's really nice.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that made us. I'm like, we can't afford this anyways. Like, let's just
go.
let's just go. And it was like our thing, and it coped us up really fast. It was funny because whenever our realtor had to break us the bad news, she's like, here are the mansions that we will be touring tomorrow, just so you are aware. I already know the drill. And we're like, thank you. We'll bring the tequila. I say that maturely because I was still in my 20s at the time. So that was how I handled things maturely. And come to think about it, we still talk about it on the podcast, and it's imposter syndrome, right? It's feeling like are not good enough to be in this space, or we're not worth it, or we're not worth asking for these things, and we don't feel like we have a seat at the table, and that we'll just stand awkwardly in the back until a space becomes available, instead of just saying, fuck all this. If no one's going to bring me a seat at the table, we're just going to build our own.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to build our own goddamn table, and you'll be lucky to have a seat. And I think it's that confidence that you learn later on, but imposter syndrome is still very real, and it pops up sometimes. It sneaks its little ugly head in with us, and we had it when we were trying to buy a house, and I think it took us still a little bit, even after we got the house, to really feel like it's real. It didn't even feel real after we had the keys.
That's true.
It felt like somebody was going to take it away at any moment, just like, haha, just kidding. But no, it was ours, and it was your idea.
You wanted to pull out so many
I just
times.
execute your idea, and
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. And that's why
Thank you.
I love how big of a dreamer you are, because that was too big of a dream for me. I
Yeah.
never thought, I thought it was just a pipe dream to own a
No,
home.
I've always thought you gotta dream big, always. So
What do you say?
my favorite thing to tell Eden whenever she's stressing, I'm always like, you gotta think big, bitch. You gotta think big.
Oh my gosh, Solomon, can we get that audio button? Because I feel like she would
Oh
use
my God,
that
I would use that so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
But it's true. It's so true. You're limited to your dreams, if you can't dream big.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's really beautiful about this is that
Yeah.
I'm always coming up with the wackiest ideas, like
Buying a house.
buying a house. Let's throw a party. Let's throw a festival. Let's, I don't even, yeah. And you pump me
Yeah.
up. You
I roll with it.
100% support me.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I don't know. We wouldn't have gotten this far without your dreams, without you dreaming big. And I'm just the type of person that's not scared. But I don't dream that big. I don't dream big enough.
Mhm.
And I appreciate somebody who dreams super big, but just doesn't know how to build something out of an IKEA box. And
That.
I'm really great with tools, and it works, and it's been working. As of right now, I feel like it's working a little too well because this is our situationship that we have right now.
Mhm.
Now that you've gotten up to date on how we are coming to our wedding situation happening this summer.
Oh yes, and so the story is that we did the small wedding, we bought the house, and now 2 years later, we're having our actual wedding.
We're having our actual wedding. And so the wedding plan came first. And then somewhere in the midst of planning the wedding, like a year or half a year after planning this wedding,
Mhm.
Preciosa was born. And
Yep.
then Preciosa took off. And now we're going on tour
Yeah.
and planning a wedding
At the same
at the
time.
same time. But then the baby timeline got
Yes.
moved up
Yes.
to also the same year.
Correct.
And so we're having a wedding, going on tour, and making a baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
All those things.
Yes. If that doesn't
Dun,
tell you
dun,
where,
dun. I don't know which
where
button that
is
is.
if
It
that
should be the cheers button, but that's how I feel internally.
if that doesn't tell you how much of an overachiever we are,
Mhm.
I don't know what will. But I think we can get them all done this year. I mean, Beyonce does a lot with 24 hours.
Beyonce has help, and Beyonce has Beyonce money. So it's just you and I right now.
I'd like to think we can do whatever we put our minds
If we
too.
had that button, you gotta drink, you gotta think
I see.
big,
I would have
bitch.
used it. I would have
That would have
used
been
it.
it for right now. But you're right. Trust the process, and it hasn't steered us wrong yet. You
Hmm.
have these big dreams and these big ambitions, and we're gonna do all the things we can while we can, and the only people that would stop us is us. And since nobody is pumping the brakes and it's just all gas,
All gas, no brakes over here.
here we are.
Yeah.
And so, since our wedding is in July, we had
Yes.
to jump on a plane very quickly and get to Oaxaca because we hadn't planned anything yet, because we had just met with our wedding planner once on Zoom, and our wedding planner was referred to us from a friend. We never really met her and heard anybody personally who got their
Yeah.
wedding done by her.
But I think we were stressed because we hadn't done much, and now we had lost all of January, and we
Yeah,
were February,
we were running
and
out of
most
time.
people plan a wedding years in advance. So,
And I will say, I think what makes Geminis a little special is there's just something, and I think a lot of Geminis will attest to this, is you vibe when you vibe and you don't when you don't, and you can't explain it.
it's true.
It's
I've seen it many times.
it's so strange. And I think you really have to be with somebody who is understanding of that's your special power. Like your big dreaming and your ability to, swim around, that's your Pisces through and through. The my Gemini is, I can't explain when we're good, we're not. Rihanna with the scissors, we're not. Cut you out. But like when I initially meet somebody, there is just something that like gravitates me to pull towards somebody or pull away from somebody, and I
Hmm.
can't explain what it is. It's not something that's happened, but I can't put my finger on it. And there was nothing wrong with the wedding planner. We had an initial just meeting Zoom, and we told her very specific things. Um, our go tos, what we like, what we don't like, our non negotiables, which are Jay is very allergic to strawberries. So no strawberries at all allowed at the wedding. I don't want even a strawberry sticker or a cartoon or nothing. Like no strawberries. I will tackle somebody if they have a strawberry in their hand. They're going down. I will do that in my wedding dress. Like I not playing, but I will do it. And I don't eat pork.
Yes.
Never been a pork fan. Not really a big meat eater in general. Unless you cook it, which is, because your cooking is fire. I really am just more of a seafood person,
Hmm.
veggie person. But the pork is the one thing I just can't get behind. So we made that very clear when we met her, and then we were off to Oaxaca, touchdown, meet up with my Oaxacan family, which I'm so happy that we've all hit off really well. Just so you all know, they love Jay so much so.
I
I
think they
think
love me a little more than they love Eden.
it's pretty obvious, and I'm okay with it. You guys clicked and bond
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, your Oaxacan family they feel like home every time
Yeah.
we go. And even this last trip, I was trying to convince Eden to buy property with
Yeah.
me in Oaxaca and like let's live by coastal if we can,
She was
because it's
literally
just
looking at land.
I was because it's just so beautiful,
Yeah.
and the way that people live out there and your family is just so nice, and it's just a different type of life.
Yeah. I, I miss them when I leave
Yeah.
so much. And I've never felt so at home. Like this is what I've always envisioned what the families on TV are
Yeah.
trying to emulate and make you feel. And that was just always something that was on TV. That was always just something that was not real for
Right.
someone like me. And I've never been close to family. And I miss them every time we leave. I miss them so much. I miss their like hugs. I miss their laughter. I miss the way that they they just miss us, because you can feel like it's a mutual
Yes.
love there. And I'm like, this is what family was always meant to feel like,
Hmm.
and you can tell that they love without any, like, there's just nothing needed. It's just
Yeah.
unconditional. The actual definition of unconditional love, they would do anything and be there for us just because we're family and they just met us.
Hmm.
And I love that. And it's beautiful that they love you more. And I'm just this like little, I come attached to this. Like I'm the free prize that comes with the thing you actually wanted. But I'm just happy to be here. I'm one of those. Like I'm just happy to be here and just to be a part of it. And I'm really thankful that, as we are having the ceremony and planning it, like I have, this family to be so proud of, that, I get to bring to this table.
Yeah. And we were lucky that we planned our wedding in Oaxaca. We knew we wanted it in Oaxaca.
Yeah.
And they're able to come with us and check the venues out with us and give us
Yeah.
feedback, which is what we really wanted more than anything. So when we showed up to
Yeah.
Oaxaca, we met with the family and then we went straight to our venue,
Mhm.
which is this beautiful venue in the middle of the center.
Stunning.
And we show up and it is not what we expected.
Nope.
Strawberries were served on all the desserts, and there were 2 plates of pork
Mm-hmm.
dishes that were brought out, which did not leave a good taste in our mouths for
Well,
obvious reasons.
I was so upset.
Yeah.
Um, and also meeting our wedding planner in person, the connection just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because not only did we feel ignored, but we also felt like, uh, and then take this what you will. We put a lot of our lives online, and this tasting and this planning these things out for our wedding, we weren't intending on recording a lot of it. We weren't
Yeah.
intending on putting this out there. We were just trying to make these decisions for ourselves privately. And then a wedding planner had cameras. She hired a whole camera crew to record our tasting, to take pictures of us. We didn't have like our full hair and makeup done. We just landed, and we're expecting to just have this tasting, you and I and my family from Oaxaca, and it just felt uncomfortable, completely
Yeah. Well,
uncomfortable.
I think she thought we were these crazy influencers from
Mm-hmm.
LA, and she thought that I don't know, maybe she thought she needed to have this huge entourage for us, or that
Yeah.
because we were influencers, we're made out of money. And that's kind of like the vibe that we got most of the time
Mm-hmm.
with that whole situation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But to your point, a lot of our needs for the wedding weren't met,
No.
and there were a lot of mistakes, and it didn't feel good. Like at the end
No.
of the day, I didn't feel comfortable giving her the responsibility of
Mm-hmm.
planning our magical day
Yeah.
for our friends and family when there were so many mistakes up front.
Like, you only have one time to make a first impression, and I feel as if her first impression was just not it.
Yeah.
And I mean, she just dropped the ball in so many different ways, and I think the on top of the mishaps that she did, it really was, you didn't make us feel comfortable. We are proud to be influencers. We're proud to be in the space and share our love and share our story, you know, on our terms. But when somebody, like, without asking for our permission, does it because they feel like they're entitled to,
Or it's going to help their
or
career.
it's going to help their career or their business, without even having a conversation with us about it, that is it leaves the biggest ick,
Mhm.
the biggest ick of all icks in my book. And there's no reconciling that. Or honestly, I could reconcile and I can forgive. I'm not that heartless anymore. If you own up to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you acknowledge that you made a mistake and you're like, my bad, it won't happen again, this was just a misunderstanding, or I got excited to work with you and I just did this thing,
Cool.
cool, we're cool, let's move on. But there was none of that when we called her out. There
Yeah.
was no
That was the second mistake.
there was no like accountability.
Accountability,
She was
yeah.
blaming us for being influencers. She was blaming the chef for putting strawberries. She was blaming everybody else. And then we're like, we're done. We're done. This is it. Like we have to fire you. Like we can't go any further.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for us because we knew what position we would be in.
Back to square one, and we would have already
Mhm.
at this point we would have already lost 2 days
Yeah.
on our 5-day trip. So,
A critical time.
Yeah.
And we have people who are booking flights and booking hotels, and we haven't even planned where we're getting married. We don't know flowers, we don't know food, we don't have anything. We just have each other and the venue, and that's all we got right now. And so we're like, holy fucking shit, now what do we do? Thank God again I have family in Oaxaca, and we should have went to them first. Should have known better, but you live and you learn.
They had a Rolodex of wedding planners, and we met
Yeah.
with a
We met
couple.
with a couple. We
Yeah.
interviewed. We did a whole interview process, which we should have done originally, but
It's just hard though when you're planning a wedding that isn't in the same country.
it is challenging.
It is so challenging to find all of the people that you need and to suss it out via Zoom or a phone call.
Yeah.
I think you can pick up on energy in person
Yeah.
more than anything, and I think that's like another thing that we were dealing with, right?
Yeah.
We can't just like drive over and talk to them. We have
Mhm.
to fly over and
Very
take time
true.
off and figure it all out.
Yeah.
So
And the interviews that we did, they were great. We felt everybody out, but we immediately gravitated towards
our current
our
wedding
current
planner,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, who's a gay guy of all things.
Yes, sassy, knew exactly what we wanted.
You gave him the vision. You're
I
like
did.
bougie on a budget.
That's exactly what I said.
And
I
he's
said,
like, "Sí se
"Bougie."
puede."
Yes. Bougie on a budget, make it look beautiful, spectacular, but we don't have deep pockets.
No. Our social media following does not equal numbers in our bank account.
Exactly, that part.
But what I do want to say is the biggest challenge for us in our wedding is that we're really trying to keep it under 15,000. Like
Yeah.
as close to that as we can get for everything out the door, venue included, is $15,000. And I know that it's a lot and it sounds like a lot. It's because it is a lot. So anybody who says that's not a lot, we are not in the same tax bracket. Like trust me, that is a lot of money for us and for our future and all of those things. But it's worth it for us. It's the max that we're willing to go. And we had this conversation with our wedding planner
Mhm.
and we're like, can you do this? Like, I know this is going to be a challenge, to keep it under this amount. And then he's like, sí se puede. Yes, we can.
Yes.
And he made us feel comfortable and confident. And now we're not at square one. We've got a couple of things like we're checking
Already,
off
yeah.
one by one, and he sees the vision, and you've even found a couple of cool things that you were looking
Yeah,
at.
I am trying to get creative, right? Like, so I've been reaching out to a ton of companies and brands to see if we can partner up for the wedding and see if I can keep costs low, but I still want fun things. Like, there's a
Yeah.
company called, and I don't want to butcher it. Let me see right here, but there's a cool company where you can rent out like a vintage 1970s phone,
Yeah.
and essentially you plug it in at your reception, and all of your friends can leave messages.
Well, we don't like to do things just like the ordinary and regular way. So, people originally do something like a guest book, or people go in and they write and they like say a little message and like some words of advice and encouragement about getting married and all that stuff. And we're thinking like, how can we do this differently? How can we be more modern, more advanced in this space? And also, what do we love? Like, how can we put our flavor and just like make it a little more personal? Jay,
part.
as you know, loves records.
I
We have a whole
do.
record room dedicated to
Oh, man, I
her
can't find it.
expensive hobby. That's okay. When we come back and when we confirm everything, we can always
Yeah.
share the plug and share the details. But the concept of it is, it's basically like a phone, right?
Yeah, so it's a phone, you put it up, and all of your friends and family get to leave messages throughout the night,
Mhm.
which means they'll get better and funnier as the night goes on, and everybody gets super drunk. And it's all recorded. So then you send that back to the company, and they put it on a record. And then you can play that record at home and keep it as a memory. And I think that's so cool and so much better than like a book that you write in, because I don't even think I would really use that book, you know?
Well, I think what's just funny about this is because I think people don't really leave messages on the phone nowadays as it is. So it's already going to be awkward. Like people
I-
are already going to be kind of like, beep, is it on? Hello? Like I don't, the younger generation probably won't know what to do after the beep because they don't know what the beep means. Like we know what that means.
I'll
but
make
they
sure,
don't know what that
I'll make
means.
sure there's instructions when people show up so everybody knows how to use the phone.
Uh-huh.
But I'm really excited.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to play that back
Mhm.
when we get the record back. It's gonna be a good time. I think every now and then we'll just like, play it and then put on some
Yeah,
music in the background
exactly.
too.
No, it's perfect. So it's little things like that. I'm reaching out to different companies and seeing
Yeah.
how we can collaborate and get some fun stuff at our wedding that isn't going to cost us an arm and a leg.
Yeah, that's just like fun and creative. You can have it all. You can pivot and be within a budget. just getting a little, fun and artsy
Mhm.
with it. Like the
Mhm.
same cost it would be to make a grand and extravagant book, we can pivot and do something different that feels more like us. And we're excited to share our wedding bougie on a budget journey and process of things that, are just cool and a little bit different
Yeah.
that we're bringing to our wedding. That, maybe if you decide to get married in Oaxaca, you can bring it to
Well, no,
yours.
the cool thing about the phone is it's anywhere. You they ship it to the US.
Oh,
So
yeah. No, no, no.
if you're having a wedding.
Definitely, definitely. But I mean more along the lines of like just the things that the Oaxacan wedding in general. You can
Yes.
take everything you want from this wedding. Like please use and learn from all the things that we have done. There's a couple of things we're doing that aren't traditional. Like, we decided to actually not do a seating chart.
Yeah.
It's just because at this point we're all family, and if y'all can't sit together and like figure it out, then you're I don't know why we invited you. Like we should all everybody the very limited amount of people who are invited, I promise you should all get along with each other, and having a seating arrangement just isn't needed.
No,
Like
I agree.
there isn't a situation where I feel like this person can't sit next to this person. Then da 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 da. Da. I wouldn't have invited you.
Yeah.
Like everybody, be happy, get along. It's gonna be fun.
Have some mezcal.
Free food, mezcal, drinks. It's a big gay party. Like what more can go wrong, right?
No, I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be awesome. And in between that, we as soon as we left Oaxaca, and it was so sad because we had to say goodbye to my Oaxacan family, and we immediately took a bus.
Mm-hmm.
First time ever taking a bus, by the
From
way.
Oaxaca. Yeah. We it was this trip was such a mess. We were supposed to leave earlier, but then the wedding planner kind of ruined that. So we ended up spending more time in Oaxaca than what we anticipated.
Yeah.
And by the time we were ready to buy our flight from Oaxaca to Mexico City, the flights were just sold out or ridiculously pricey. So then
Yeah.
we looked at alternatives and we found that there was a bus that you can take from Oaxaca to Mexico City, which is like a 6-hour bus.
Like $30.
30 bucks. 30 bucks. You'll get there in 6 hours. And we took a red eye, basically a red
Red
eye.
eye.
So we passed out and I'm not gonna lie, those seats were like clutch. They were
Mhm.
so nice. Like it was such way better bus than the Greyhound or any other bus that we have here.
Oh
The
my god.
experience was amazing.
You slept like a baby.
I know.
You knocked out. I think I was too like worried because
Wired.
wired up because the driving in Mexico is just wild
Yeah.
in general. Like the
There are
bus
no
drivers
rules.
are flying a million miles an hour, and then you're just seeing bodies like slide to the left and slide to the right as the bus is turning. And I'm like, okay, we just gonna, But did you die?
I
No,
did
we didn't. We
not.
got
We
there.
made it to Mexico City. And the
Yeah.
reason why we had to go to Mexico City is because now we had to switch hats and talk about the tour.
Yeah.
And one of our stops is in Mexico City. And we were linking up with another lesbian group called Ele that's based in Mexico City. And we're doing a collaboration party
Mm-hmm.
for their Pride. So at the end of June, I think it's June 24th
Mhm.
that we're looking at, that Saturday. So it's very important that we were already in Mexico. We should
Yeah.
have, a sit down and meet them
Mexico City
and figure out details.
Pride.
Yeah.
You have to tell them what makes Mexico City
Ugh.
Pride the best Pride ever.
Everything. Everything about Mexico Pride. First of all, they don't have like here, LA, for example, right? We have WeHo Pride, we have Hollywood Pride, we have Long Beach Pride. Everything's kind of segregated. In Mexico City, it's Pride for the entire city. Like there's no separation. It is, we are all celebrating
Mhm.
collectively this weekend. Everything shuts down. We're all being super excited and supportive of the
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus community. So much so that they wrap their buildings
Uh-huh.
with pride flags. It's something I have never seen in my life, and
Yeah.
we felt so loved. And I mean, you take that and then you take the culture that is Mexico, right? So there's a lot of street vendors. Everybody's drinking on the streets. You get a beer for 25 cents. It's amazing. It's so cool.
I love Mexico City Pride. It just feels like community. It feels like what Pride should have and, I think probably felt like back in the day before
It
the
got
sponsors and the
commercialized.
commercial and like the straight people taking over because it became a festival now. Like it's not that. It really felt like this, community that came
Mhm.
together. And the beautiful part about it is that everybody's brown. We're all listening
Yes.
to the same music. Bad Bunny's playing somewhere
Like,
and
yeah, like
so much fun.
guys that look like they can beat you up with
Uh-huh.
shaved heads and
Tattoos
tattoos are wearing dresses in the street
and
and
holding little
voguing and
chihuahuas.
holding little chihuahuas, and it's just like the coolest thing to
Lucha
see.
Libres making out with each other.
Yes.
So
So
iconic.
cool.
It is something that you have to experience. Like we can't hype it enough about how beautiful Mexico City is. And just so you know and can be aware for weather purposes is that it is that rainy season
It is.
for Mexico City during that time. And last year when we went,
It rained one day.
it rained the day that
Yeah.
that the march was happening. The rain didn't stop nobody.
No.
Rain or shine, we are marching, we are partying, we are just getting up and getting wild, and that is it. That doesn't stop nothing. And it was beautiful to see people not only marching but partying and dancing in the
Yeah.
rain. Like nothing
And
was gonna
just
stop
celebrating
pride.
culture and being being
Yeah,
prideful of who they were.
yeah,
It was so beautiful to see. So if any of you are available and want to come down on June 24th to Mexico City, put it on your bucket list. It's
yeah.
one of the best pride festivities ever.
Yeah, you definitely won't regret it. It's something you have to experience at least once. And we're so excited to bring Preciosa. We're excited to collaborate with another group that's
Yeah.
already out there. And, we're, just excited to celebrate our people in our community. And it's such an amazing opportunity. And even though all of these things and all of these opportunities are coming back to back with our wedding, I'm trusting in your dream and I won't regret it. I know I won't. I'll be tired, but it's gonna be fine and it's gonna be okay because opportunities like this just don't come to anyone and everyone. And
Opportunities like this don't come to people like us. And I
no.
think that's what we always have to remember.
Hmm.
And I, yeah, to your point, I think this is a huge opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Taking Preciosa Night on tour is huge. And having all these venues in these different states and countries
Yeah.
want to have it is huge. Like that's
Yeah.
something that we should be proud of. That's something that we should celebrate. I
Hmm.
mean, so much so that the city of LA is letting us have Pershing Square
Yeah.
to throw a 1 day Preciosa Fest.
Hmm.
Like that's huge. Think about that. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Coachella status. Only we don't have the deep pockets, but it's
No.
awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah, and we're doing what we can. And what I love about our crowd and Preciosa is that they see the hustle.
Yeah.
They know how hard we work. They know all of the glue and tape and like staples that go into some of our DIY, photo op stuff because we're not professionals.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful to see that they love it and they see the support because we don't have deep pockets and we don't have the funds right now, but if you want to sponsor this, we will take your money and put it to a great cause called Preciosa Night. um but we're doing what we can with what we have because nobody's going to do it. Or I think my biggest fear is that if we don't do it for our community, a community who's not as needing and as deserving will take that space.
Yeah.
So we
Agreed.
gotta, if it's offered to us, we gotta try, because they deserve it. They deserve every moment of it. They deserve every moment of like sunshine and lights and music and culture all combined
And a
into one
safe
space.
space
Yeah.
to just be.
To just be themselves and to
Yeah.
be happy and to feel that like love. And speaking of safe space, this wasn't originally on the roster, but we know we had to. We had to add it to the roster, which is Baby Cake's birthday.
Eh, eh. Yes, yes, yes. My birthday, I'm a Pisces baby.
Hmm.
My birthday is in March, and my wife is so amazing and beautiful and the best in the entire world that she was
Aw.
okay with me adding a night
I was like, where is this going? What
to
did
the
I
tour.
do?
So we are kicking off the tour in LA
Uh-huh.
on March 10th at a venue called Don Quixote, which is
Mhm.
in Boyle Heights.
Mhm.
I am so stoked because we're calling it the queer spring fling,
Yeah, it is.
and we're celebrating all the Pisces
Mm-hmm.
out there and everybody that wants to come and party and just have a good time. We're doing
Yeah.
a concha wall,
Yeah.
which is something that is really cool, and I think everybody's really gonna love it.
So people are asking, what is a concha wall? So we will explain to you what it is. So basically, you know how not white people, but like certain demographics have this wall, like a donut
It's a
wall.
donut
A
wall.
donut wall. So we just thought we'd add a little sazon onto it and make a concha wall and put little conchas
But
on
they're
a
rainbow
wall.
conchas.
But they're rainbow. Guess we're gay. And we just thought that would be really cool. So, it's first come, first serve. You get in early, you get a concha, and
Who
you're
doesn't
happy.
like a concha? I love
A
conchas.
concha in the club. Like, that's a
Yeah.
new one for us. And I don't know where we get these crazy ideas, but here we are.
Mhm.
And, we're going to have a 360 cam. We're going to have great performers.
We're bringing in a drag queen
Yeah.
from
Sacramento.
San Diego? Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah, and she just went viral recently on TikTok with her entire skit, so I'm just excited to see it in person.
You will get the biggest FOMO if you miss this party.
Look, all I'm saying is she's performing a Selena song, so
Mm.
that doesn't tell you anything.
Do you need to say more? That should
That's
be
it.
enough.
That's it.
And to add just the amazingness to this party, it is National Latina Day.
Yeah.
So if you're a Latina and you're gay and you're in LA, what are you doing? You need to be here on March 10th, celebrating with the rest of us and having fun. No Latina should be left out. All Latinas welcome. Come celebrate with us. Come have a good time.
Come
Safe
celebrate this
space.
Pisces.
This Pisces, all the Pisces.
All the Pisces.
All the spicy Pisces.
Mhm.
It's going to be an epic time because it's such a great way to kick off the tour. And I think it's going to set like the tone and the energy to keep us going for the rest of the tour.
Totally. And our next, like I said, I think we start here, then we do Arizona,
Uh-huh.
New York, and Mexico City. So hit up our link in our bio so you can see the entire lineup, and hopefully we can see you out there too.
Oh, we definitely will see them out there.
Mhm.
We have to. You guys do not want to miss this. It's going to be the best time. But I know the last place where we left off, and I'm like, not trying to segue into so many things because our poor listeners are getting whiplash from all the things that happened in the week since we last talked. But we actually had our mixer.
Yes.
We finally had our friends mixer.
We threw a friends mixer right
How did
before
it
we
go?
left. I loved it. I think we had 60 people come through. It was a very intimate event. It was very minimal compared to our Preciosa night
Mm-hmm.
events. And it was just a safe space for people that wanted to make friends
Yeah.
come and make friends. And it was so cool. We even made our own cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made our own little deck of cards and we separated each table. Each table could sit like 4 to 6 people. And
Yeah.
we kind of designated each table per like topic. So
Mhm.
there was one table that was all about travel questions.
Mhm.
There was another table that was all about like childhood questions.
Yeah.
There's
just
another
getting
table.
deeper.
Yeah.
There was like a thoughty table.
There's a thoughty table. There was a foodie table. So you could just like roam from table to table and join conversations.
Yeah. And depending on what you were into, you can really connect with other people. And what I loved was actually your icebreaker bingo. That
Thank
was
you.
so cool.
Thank you.
And such a great idea. Again, ideas person. Because the way that it worked is we had a bunch of different type of topics that you had to go around and play bingo with, and some of the topics on there were, I'm the oldest in the family, or I've lived outside the country, or I speak more than 2 languages.
I'm friends with my
I'm
exes.
friends with my exes, and like just different types of questions that you can go around and meet other people
Mhm.
and see who you connect with. And whoever got the full blackout board won
A prize.
a vibrator. And then I think like second place got a coffee.
You got coffee.
Got
yeah.
coffee, which is still great. Depending on what you're in the mood for. And it was such a great, I think, kickoff to the event, and it really set people up and opened them up to having those conversations. And what I appreciated the most about it was I met with a lot of bisexual girls
Yeah.
there at the event. There were quite a few bisexuals who are in heterosexual relationships,
Mhm.
and they felt safe. they felt seen and they felt like their queerness was recognized in a
Hmm.
space that says queer. But I think as a bisexual in a heterosexual relationship, you do feel like, you do have imposter syndrome sometimes.
Yeah.
And the queer space isn't as welcoming when you bring your boyfriend or your
Yeah,
partner or
for
your
sure.
husband into a space, but they're just as deserving to be here as anyone else. And I think it felt really nice for them to not only feel validated and seen, but they also met each other and they
Yeah.
kind of made their own friends group, and they're gonna like go have coffee and go hang out and talk about what it's like to be in this partnership. And I think that's just awesome. And taking a step back after the event, I was like, we did that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And they said directly they came because of you, because of your
Oh.
openness of speaking on behalf of bisexuals and
Mhm.
bisexuality in general, and they just felt like they could come to the event,
Yeah.
and there wasn't going to be any judgment or,
Mhm.
dirty looks or clicks
Yeah.
or ignore like them being ignored.
I can't take all the credit, and that's why I disagree, because I feel like you have such a big part in why bisexuals feel safe, because not only do you make me feel safe, but you make them feel safe. They can walk into a room and know that two people have their back and validate them
Mhm.
in their experience and in their sexuality, where a lot of the times when people say queer spaces, they don't feel that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to really, really tell people and remind people that bisexuality is 100% valid. This sexuality is the only sexuality where people hang up their past so much on their present and their future. A sexuality is not a past. It is not anything. It is a person.
Mhm.
And people need to remember that bisexuals are people too,
Yeah.
with their own emotions and their own feelings and their own standards. And I think the community really needs to take a deep step back and just welcome everyone for who they are and let people live and be happy and just be accepting. Our community is already marginalized. We don't need to cut it with a knife and start dividing people up any more than we already are.
I agree. Where's my clap button?
But I couldn't do that alone. I did it with you.
Mm.
Maybe we'll color them.
You should. Good job, baby cakes. That's so
Aw.
true. Yeah. And I remember I guess my favorite part of that whole thing was there was this woman that came up to me. She was bisexual and was dating a man. And she was like, "How do you support your wife's bisexuality?"
Mhm.
That was her first question to me.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hi, my name is, how do you support your wife's bisexuality?"
I mean, we did say safe space.
No, it was great. It was awesome. It took me by surprise, but I told her, I celebrate Eden for everything that she is.
Mhm.
When we first started dating, and it's such a funny story. I for by Visibility Day, I gave you a card with a bunch of penises on it. And I was like,
So unnecessary.
happy yeah, happy bi Visibility Day.
Didn't like looking at them then, didn't like looking at them now.
But that was me trying to remind you, like, I love who you are, and I never want you
Mhm.
to, like, change anything about you,
Yeah.
you know?
Could have been anything else on that card. But I appreciate so much that you really want to make me feel seen
I
on
do.
Bi
I
Visibility Day.
do.
Yeah. It's funny. Not necessary.
Okay, well, that's me
I
trying, and
know.
I always even when we talk, I think sometimes you get caught up in the moment and you say,
Mhm.
like, "Oh," like, not that you're lesbian, but you say, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gay," or whatever, and
Yeah.
I think sometimes you get caught up and you don't do it on purpose, but I think I sometimes have to remind you, yo, it's cool that you can say you're
Yeah.
bisexual. You don't have to say you're gay. You don't have to say you're lesbian. You don't have to say you're queer. You're
Mhm.
bisexual. That is what you
Yeah.
are, and you should own it,
Mhm.
regardless of the setting.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I do, and I'm very bi proud, and I'm always going to be bi pride. And sometimes I feel like as a bisexual, it just is easier, it saves time to just say gay, or the gay and the queer doesn't really bother me as much, but if somebody asks me what my sexuality is, 100% bisexual. That hasn't and doesn't change, doesn't matter where and who I'm with. But what I should be more cautious of, because what I don't want to do is bi erase myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because bi eraser is such a real thing.
Yeah.
And not only do we let other people do it to us, but we do it to ourselves.
Right.
And that was something that I really battled with before I met you, was having that eraser and having that imposter syndrome and not feeling comfortable in my own skin. And I not only feel the most comfortable, but my wife makes me feel the most safe. And I'm hoping that what we've done with our platform is make other bisexuals feel like they're seen and they're validated with their experiences. Doesn't matter who you're with or who you've been with.
Mhm.
Like, they are their own person and they have their own identities and they love who they love. And if they're figuring out who they love, that's no different than anyone else figuring it out. We're all just trying to find our person or people, for those who are poly, no judgment. And it's a journey and it's a process. And there's no one out here who should be judging somebody's process because it's different than yours.
Mhm.
Bottom line, I said what I said. You can come for me in the comments. I don't care. But I love you and thank you for pointing that out.
Of course. Of course.
Another really great part of our event were the prototype cards that you made.
Yes. I made prototype icebreaker for friends and relationships, so they're pretty fluid
Yeah.
and they look really cool. So if you're watching our YouTube video, you'll see what they look like. But they've got our
Ta-da!
little logo
Prototype.
right there. And there's like questions on each one of them.
Yeah.
So I think we'll pull from the deck today.
It's similar to the intimacy deck
Yeah.
that we've been using for a while. We've used a bunch of different types of decks, and there's always great things and there are always things that can be better. And we were just like, let's just make our own. Let's just do
Well, the
something
thing
that's a little
is,
bit more
yeah,
personal.
we're constantly buying decks. We're
Mhm.
constantly testing out decks because we love to build on our communication.
Yeah.
And there's so many out there, but they're not all perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to take the best of each one and then create our prototype.
Yeah.
And I think we tested it out at the
event.
event and everybody loved them.
We were like, we definitely need more cards. We
Yeah.
went through them so many.
so
Yeah.
fast, but I'm really excited so we could pull from this.
So instead of pulling from the intimacy deck, we're pulling from the Eat It Next Day deck, and we'll see how it goes.
Let's do it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What has been one of your favorite moments in life?
Ooh,
In
favorite
life.
moments in life.
Yeah.
That's a big
I
question.
know.
I think.
And it's moments plural, so you can do more than one.
Oh, I can do more
Yeah, it says
than
moments.
one. I think I would need a whole podcast episode to count all the moments. I would say a really big moment that really just kind of jumps out at me is, I would say, like when we got the house,
Mm-hmm.
because that was something that really made it clear and obvious that I need to dream bigger. Like, I am holding myself back from my own dreams, and I shouldn't think that way. Like, to what you say, like, you got to think big, bitch. Like, clearly I'm not thinking big enough, and I'm mad at myself for thinking like I didn't deserve, or it wasn't for me, or it would never be in the cards for me. But I'm so thankful that I have such a big dreamer. And I'm thankful for that every day. But I'll never forget that moment when it hit us, like, we live here and this is our home and this is something that we built a foundation on. And once you get one, you can get two and three, and it just really sets you up for success and for a future. And it's a labor of love that I don't regret every single day. And I mean, it really, really showed me that we can do anything, and
Mhm.
that dreams just limit you sometimes, and you just go to the max of your ability and keep going, keep figuring out, how many more doors can open if you just do something scary. Preciosa night, terrifying.
Yes.
Absolutely scary. Doing IVF and making embryos, terrifying. So scary. But I never thought in a million years it was possible for a person like me until I met you. But it took being with somebody who dreams big and doesn't think about how I'm going to get there, because that's not your responsibility. Like, my job in this relationship is to figure out how we're going to get there. And your job is to dream big.
Mhm.
And I love that dynamic. And like, all of these moments that just kind of listed off right there are terrifying, but no risk and no reward, right? If you don't do something that scares you, then you're never gonna just see what the possibility on the other end can
Mhm.
be. And sometimes it's the most rewarding memory and the most rewarding experience that is just the tip of the iceberg of what else can come down the line.
I love that. That's such a good answer. I don't know if I could top that. What has been one of
I
my No, it
know.
was great. It's beautiful.
I mean,
I
you
have
made the card.
I did. I'm proud of myself right now. I think there's multiple moments. For me, one of my favorite moments is when we first started IVF
Yeah.
because it was such a crazy journey
Yeah.
and it made me realize that I have such a great partner
Aw.
to ride that wave of emotions with because it's not easy. There
Mm.
are some days that are good and then some days you get horrible news and there's also medication that you're taking in between of all of that and mood swings and all these things, right?
Mhm.
But like being on that bed at the doctor's office to extract the embryos and
Yeah.
like seeing how excited you were and how excited I was and there was so many tears of joy
Yeah.
when they kept counting how many embryos were successfully retrieved.
Yeah.
That is such a core memory for me,
Yeah.
and having like the doctors cheer and
Yeah.
nurses cheer and you're crying and I'm crying and it's just like this beautiful moment
Mhm.
that I it was such a great moment.
I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't say that enough. Like, you did something so brave and you were so strong. And what marriage has taught me, and that experience has taught me, is that it's not it's not about me, you know? It's not about me anymore. Sometimes, like, you just have to take a step back. You just have to, if you're in a bad mood, like, get out of the way. It's just you have to just really think about what your partner is going through.
Mhm.
And it taught me to have a lot of patience. It taught me it doesn't matter how bad my day is, like, pick a different day. It doesn't matter if I'm hungry, like, I have to think about your hunger. It's all of those things. Like, your body, and you're putting yourself emotionally and physically and mentally through something that is so foreign to you, and it's painful. And I just admire so much, like, how you were able to do it with such grace. And even through the ups and downs, you didn't give up. And
Mm.
that's just not who you are. And I love that about you. And
Thanks, babe.
the doctors, like, even kind of were worried and looking scared, and you didn't let that stop you. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm one of those gays. I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, thanks, Sugar
I
Plum.
mean, buys. Sorry, I'm one of those buys.
See? You caught her.
I know. I need like a burnt button. I know it's on there
Where is
somewhere,
it? Hold on.
probably. Wow, that made me feel so sad. Oh, worse. I know, we gotta
I'll figure out
this
these
button
buttons.
situation.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, everyone.
We'll have it together by next week.
Yes.
For the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on another episode.
Yes, of Eden XJ Unfiltered. And if you like what you're hearing, what you heard, give it 5 stars, share it with a friend, let them know that this is a great podcast to listen to and that there's always stuff
Yes.
happening. Also, come to our event. I hope to
Yes,
see you there.
please. March 10th, Don Quixote. Tickets are in our bio. Follow at Precioso 9 if you want to hear all the information.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy next 7 months for sure.
And we can't wait to see you next week on the podcast. But for now,
Bye.